Hello, this is Alan with Resolve Professionals, and I'm just here to tell you about resumes once again. But now, today, I'm actually just going to focus on the aspect of the resume headers. And of course, first, I'm going to give you my outline and my definition of what a resume header is. And of course, we know that's important for all employers so they can make contact with us too. And what a resume header is compiled information about the candidate, pretty much focusing on your first, your last name, as well as we want to also focus on the city and the state, to your professional phone contact and your professional email. Now, those things are really important in a resume header, and also why a resume header is needed as well. This section is verification for employers' purposes pertaining to identity as well as location. All right, and also the header is also used for employer accessibility to contact the candidate via phone or email. So we want to be sure to look over all the contact information to make sure that it's correct, definitely, so the employer can follow up. Either it's going to be an interview that they may call you for, or a job offer, but we always want to make sure we have the proper information available too. So I'm also going to give you kind of a bit of an outline on how it should be set up and show you a picture of how it should look too. And I'm just going to show you just a snippet of how mine looks, just a little bit. But there's just one thing that mine doesn't have on it, and I'll just kind of explain that as we go through that process really quick here. All right, but just a little measure of mine, how mine would look. It's just pretty much the top part, and it's pretty simple, and it's pretty much to the point. I've seen a couple of resumes where we have it scattered across the top. It kind of looks like a run-on. I don't think that's really bad, but I think the way that I have it situated is kind of just formatted directly towards the employer and what they need in a one view scoop of things, pretty much. And also, just to give you a breakdown of a header and how we can actually situate it the way that I have it done here too, is a way that we can do is we can double tap the top Word document to access the header feature to input the compiled information as well. So the header will populate on the top of your page for professionalism as well. So of course, you know, on Word, you just double tap the top part, and that's where it'll pop up as far as the header where you can put it. So that's where I always put my information as well. Another thing is the contact should be centered and single spaced as well. I always try to use 0 when I'm going through my resume altogether, so it's single spaced and I'm able to kind of control it much better. So I always have it in the middle. As you kind of see, I have it situated here. It's right in the center where the employer can see what they need. And also you want to input, of course, your first and your last name. And of course, mine is on the top. And one thing that I just don't have with mine, but I have it in my future resume, of course, is it has to be bolded on the top as well. So my focus is the first and last name is the only thing that's pretty much bolded, I would say, in the header part of the resume. And that is where you can actually have about, I like to say 12 to 13 font within that portion. Just the first and the last name, it can be bolded, and 12 to 13 font as well. That is the only place where I can recommend the bold be a little bigger, because it kind of just focuses, of course, on your name. Also, we want to input the city and state where we're residing in. I usually put that right at the second line of my resume as well, and mine says Jacksonville, Florida. And a lot of people put their full address, and I say there's no reason to really do that. As long as the employer knows what area you're in, that's good enough, and let them call you for the interview when they do have those type of questions of your exact location. I kind of leave that for the interview, and I've had no problem as far as just putting Jacksonville, Florida on my resume and not focusing too much on actually where I'm living per se. Also, we want to input the phone number, and I have that on the third line of my resume too. So I'll just show you really quick here. On the third line, I have the phone number. And on that, we also want to put the parentheses around the area code, which is important too. After that, the fourth line is the email address, which I have the email address on the fourth line. And it usually populates as far as showing an underline after you write your email address, which is actually fine on the resume as well, just showing it to be an email address. And the thing about that, we always want to make sure the email address is professional. That's one thing that I always stress, because employers do look at your email and they do kind of judge off of your email too. We always want to keep that professional first and last name, or the initials of your first name and then your last name, or a couple numbers behind it, that's fine. But we don't want to put anything that's misleading or anything that's just too much for the employer. We kind of just want to stay professional and simple and to the point with that. Another thing that I like to do with my resumes in the header portion is, if you see, once I've completed those 4 steps, on the bottom I have this line here. It's a dark line, and it's pretty much, I like to call it my little professional line. It kind of makes everything look good and spaces out the sector as far as your information for contact as well. So that's where I definitely put that dark line, where actually what I do is, all I do is just space right under, double space actually I would have to do, right under the email, and then from there I just make a line, and from that line I bold it as well, just to show a little more professionalism with it, and it actually shows out to be great.